Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Innovation Podcast, your source for all things innovation. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Simon Tecle on the line, and he's Head of Sales and Customer Success over at Citruslabs. Simon, welcome to the show.
Hey, Adam, thanks for having me. Really excited to be here.
All right, so let's just kick it off by you telling us a little bit more about what you're doing over at Citruslabs, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So at Citruslabs, our mission is to advance medicine by supporting clinical trials with technology. And so we found a lot of bottlenecks with clinical trials, which stalls them from advancing and which brings life-saving drugs to market for everyday humans that are managing a lot of different chronic conditions. So we support those clinical trials by providing technology to streamline patient recruitment, patient communication, and connecting patients to relevant trials that are in their area.
Wow, and so I'm just a big fan of the work and what you're doing, because now being more important than ever. We can see with the whole pandemic going on and things like that. You're kind of right in the middle of that, if you will. What's Citruslabs' involvement in that?
Yeah, absolutely, Adam. So while we don't obviously run our own clinical trials, we work directly in the heart of them. So, we felt that with the pandemic going around right now, we had an obligation as a company to do our part. So what we're doing is all sites, clinical trial sites or biotech companies, pharmaceutical companies that are developing drugs and vaccines for the COVID pandemic right now, we are supporting all of those studies for absolutely free. We feel like that's our way to give back. That's our way to support for the greater good, and hope we can everybody come together to provide a vaccine for this.
Man, that's amazing. That's great stuff there. And I love to see like the medical community and all different parts of the supply chain, right? Because it takes, I think sometimes, like you were mentioning on some of the like life-saving drugs out there, and sometimes there's a bottleneck. Like I don't think people understand always like how complicated that process can be to get something to market to save lives, because it's not an easy thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You think a pharmaceutical company or a biotech company that develops a drug has about $1 billion or $1.5 billion in R&D on that drug. That's even before it gets to market or before it even gets FDA approved. So for a company to even start to recoup that type of money, it needs to run through several phases of a clinical trial. And a clinical trial can't get completed unless you get patients or people that are interested in participating in a clinical trial into a doctor's office that are willing to perform and be committed to seeing that trial completely through. So, from the pharmaceutical company and biotech company standpoint, they need patient recruitment and patients to participate in their clinical trials. More importantly, to even advance medicine, think of all the different medications that people are taking to keep them alive and help them live better and happier lives. All those start from a clinical trial before it even can get to the FDA for approval for mass market.
What kind of trends are you noticing from your vantage point? Like, obviously we have the current one, but even aside from that, like, what kind of things have you been noticing just in advancing this process since you've been working on it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest thing for us is how many Americans aren't even aware that they can participate in a clinical trial. Most people that have some type of chronic condition that they're managing, whether diabetes or hypertension or whatever it may be, many different types of cancers, they think that just the drugs that are out there and approved are their last hope. And a lot of people are living with a lot of conditions that, they are saying this is just how it is. And that's not the case. And so what we're finding is a lot of Americans don't even know that they can participate in a clinical trial, that there's even something potentially down the street that they can participate in. And so education is, one of our pillars on how we are connecting patients with sites, letting them know that there's something relevant to them that they are eligible to participate in. Because what we're finding is a lot of Americans don't even consider clinical trials as a potential solution to help them out.
I mean, I didn't know. I mean, I've never had anything like a reason to participate in one, but I feel like if I did have a reason, like I came down with something or whatever, right now I wouldn't have known that information had you just told me. Like I had no idea. So I feel like most Americans are in the same boat as me. Like you mentioned, how do people normally find out about these things?
Yeah, so typically if their doctor's office is running a trial, they'll say, hey, you're potentially eligible for a study. There are plenty of different websites out there too that they can do some Google researches on and find if there's anything relevant to them. They can also go directly to our website, Citruslabs.com, and sign up to through our patient portal that we have, and we'll try to connect them to a site, a research site near them as well. So different avenues, but always start with your doctor's offices. If not online, there's different portals there.
Yeah, that's tough. Like, I mean, if you're taking me through that, like that's, especially if you're battling with something major, like the first thing, if you're a doctor or they're not participating, so that's that's like aligning the stars right there to find out. It makes sense, Simon. Like if it wasn't for companies like Citruslabs, I mean, you wouldn't, a Google search, are you kidding me? If I Googled something that I had, how many ads do you have to get through? How many weird things or pay-per-click or weird marketing things or scams do you have to get to find something legit? I wouldn't know how to do that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and that's actually one of the problems that we address is people don't know what's real or what's fake or what's just trying to collect data about me. Everyone's very protective over their data. So we think that people going through accredited websites or portals or companies like ours, where we are aggregating that data and only sending it to approved doctors' offices that we have already vetted and screened and identified that is relevant for you. And so, that education part is very critical to what we're doing. People need to understand what are the risks associated with the clinical trial, what are the benefits, what is the commitment required to participate. So clinical trials in general, educating the Americans and consumers about them has been kind of one of our biggest challenges and hurdles that we've been tackling.
No, I can see that, Simon. So that being said, if somebody's listening to this and they want to learn more about the work over at Citruslabs or to connect, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, I would say go to our website, Citruslabs.com. You can definitely can go on our website and learn everything about clinical trials, our products, and everything you want. We even have a section on education about clinical trials there. We can learn, and then you can also download our MindMate app as well. And there's a lot of information there as well.
Fantastic. Well, hey, Simon, it's been great having you on the show today to talk more about what you're doing over at Citruslabs and how you're leading the charge on educating Americans on clinical trials and what they entail and their rights around them. So that's great stuff there. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review on the Apple iTunes Store, and if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Innovation, definitely give us a subscribe there, but also leave us some comments in the video. Love to know what kind of things you're working on and what kind of business you have going on. And Simon, thanks again for coming on the show.